this video, we're going to be giving a brief overview of the relationship attachment model by John Van Epp. So this is what the relationship attachment model looks like. There's 5 different dynamics: know, trust, rely, commit, and touch. There is a slider below each dynamic, and wherever that slider is kind of determines the strength of that dynamic in your relationship. And if you notice, it looks like a staircase because we always want to start with know and work our way over. For example, you don't want to commit to somebody before getting to know them. So the first dynamic is to know someone. John Van Epp explains 3 different things that are needed in getting to know someone, which are talk, time, and togetherness. So obviously it's very important to get to know someone by talking to them and spending time with them in person, but also that takes a lot of time to really get to know them and who they are. He talks about a 90-day probation period, and what that means is that it takes at least 2 to 3 months for patterns to emerge, for you to be able to really see who somebody is. A lot of times in new relationships, we like to be on our best behavior because we want to put our best selves forward, and we obviously want to be liked. And so it can take time for that to go away and to really be able to see who somebody is. The second dynamic of the relationship attachment model is trust. So as you're getting to know somebody, you're learning things about them and you're developing an opinion of them. He also calls it a mental trust picture. And this opinion or mental picture you have of them is going to tell you if you can trust them or not. And the next dimension, or the next dynamic, is rely. And rely is like the action of trust. So once you know that you can trust them, that's when you're able to rely on them and depend on them for different things. And it goes the other way too. Once that person you're dating is able to trust you, they're able to depend on you as well. And the next 2 dynamics are commit and touch, and Emily is going to give an overview on those.
Like Mindy said, the 4th dynamic of the relationship attachment model is commit, which is all about the level of commitments that we make in relationships. The more we're able to know someone, trust them, and rely on them, the more our commitment slider is able to move up. Commitments can be as small as making a friend, giving a high five, all the way up to getting married and eventually starting a family. Commitment is also associated with belonging, so the more we feel like we can commit to someone, the more we have a sense of belonging to them. For example, adolescents are usually starting to figure out where they belong, figure out themselves, their friends, and so for them, it might look like committing to a friendship or a group rather than committing to one person. These friendships usually start before the dating scene, and so it's important that we're able to help them understand how they can make small commitments, which will eventually help them as they start dating and move into that next step. And obviously, the older we get, the more serious the commitments tend to be in relationships, and so it's important that we're made aware of what types of commitments we make in our own lives, starting from a young age, because they're going to impact us throughout the rest of our life as we're entering different steps in relationships. And so this leads us to the last dynamic of the relationship attachment model, which is touch. And touch is really important in relationships because, like the other 4 dynamics, it creates a sense of bond, or it builds bonds and closeness in relationships. And it's important to understand how touch affects us because our teens are likely going through puberty, they're going through these changes, and it can be really scary. And so it's important for us to help them understand what's going on, especially as they are going to be starting dating and having closer relationships with others. When we touch through expressions of whether it's a handshake, a high five, a hug, an embrace, our body releases dopamine, which makes us happy. Our body also releases oxytocin, which is most common for women, and vasopressin, which is most common in men. And these hormones are really important in touch because it does help us feel connected to others, but it needs to be approached with caution so that we aren't stepping over any bounds before we're too ready. Just with this, all these sliders, how it's in the stepping motion, as Mindy mentioned, we need to keep it in check with the others so that we're not going higher than the others. This keeps us safe in relationships, and our goal is to help our teens to feel safe, secure, and happy in their relationships. So that's the purpose of the relationship attachment model, is to help these people, including ourselves, to feel the sense of security and safety as they're starting this new step of dating.